Sometimes life's gifts arrive wrapped in all wrong damn wrapping, at which point we have to learn to do two things with them. Recognize them for what they are and gamble on our fear that they might be disasters. This brings me to my third life lesson, inspired by two movies in which I played the anti-hero, Dar and Bazigar. Okay, those stories I won't tell you seem to know them. But 20 years ago in the movies, roles were very clearly defined. They provided the security of your stardom in a sense. If you'd been successfully playing an angry young man, you'd pretty much be angry and young for the rest of your life. If you'd been a police inspector in 3 movies, odds were you'd be in the next 33 too. This applied to female actresses also. Wives were wives, seductresses were seductresses, mother-in-laws were mother-in-laws, and so on and so forth. Few actors would have willingly switched from romantic heroes to obsessively violent lovers. I took the leap not because I was particularly brave, but because a very dear director friend of mine sat me down and told me I was extremely ugly. And being ugly necessarily meant, I know. And being ugly necessarily meant I do bad guy roles. I wasn't the romantic hero types, he said. Actually, he used the words that my face was not chocolatey enough. So I started to eat a lot of chocolate. And while waiting for it to take effect, I jumped into bad guy roles. Dar means fear in Hindi, and everyone always tells you at speeches like this that you ought to be brave, so I'm not going to bore you with that idea. Instead, let me tell you this. Being brave means being shit scared all the way to the party. Yeah, I'm sorry if that word is being very scared all the way to the party. But getting there all the same and doing the funky chicken in front of all your teenage kids' friends anyway. Let me just add on behalf of all the fathers of the world who have embarrassed their kids by doing this, it takes a lot of bravery, resolve, and grit to do it. So just do it. Don't let your fears become boxes that enclose you. Open them out, feel them, and turn them into the greatest courage you are capable of. I promise you, nothing will go wrong. But if you live by your fears, everything that can possibly go wrong will go wrong. And you won't even have done the funky chicken. While we are on that, I do it. I do everything for you. I'm a doctor now. And while we were talking about fears and bravery, let me also add this, that all the planning in the world won't take you where you want to go. And it's fine not to know what you want to be 20 years from now. Most of those who had it all figured out become bankers anyway. I'm sorry. This goes live on YouTube. My big next loan for the film is finished from my friendly neighborhood banker. Okay, I did a movie once called Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na, in which I was one of my favorite films, actually. And in which I was the victim of a lover's confusion. And my next lesson is precisely that. It's okay to be confused. Confusion is the root to all the clarity in the world. Don't worry about it too much. Don't ever take yourself seriously enough to be so clear about your own ideas that you stop respecting other people's. Our values are our values. They don't make us any better than anyone else. At best, they just make us different. Always try to see the other person's truth, because like every movie has a story, every human being has one too, and you have no right to imagine that yours is better than anyone else's. You can leave that silliness to my esteemed colleagues and me. And if you thought the last 2 stories I told you were crazy, here's another one in the reckoning for the Oscar for weirdest screenplay. Guddu. Yes, Guddu was my name in a movie. I hardly look like a Guddu, but they still named me Guddu. About loving and giving, in which basically I have an accident, yes, another one. But this time, instead of almost wiping out my future mother-in-law, I wipe out my girlfriend's eyes. Many convoluted subplots, including a life-threatening brain tumor to me, a legal battle for the right to donate organs, and a fast on to death by my mother. My scientific lawyer father, my mother, and I are battling over which one of us will donate our eyes to my blind girlfriend. In the end, I recover miraculously. I still don't know how. And my mother dies, donating her eyes to my girlfriend. And then we all live happily ever after. Life lesson number 4 rears its head. Give of yourself to others. And while you're at it, make sure you realize that you aren't doing anyone any favors by being kind to them. It's all just to make you feel that sneaky little twinge that comes from being utterly pleased with yourself. After all, the one that gets the most benefit out of any act of kindness or charity that you do will always be you. I don't say this as many see it in a transactive or karmic way. It's not an I do good, I get benefit equation with some white-bearded figure taking notes from the heavens above. It's a simple truth. An act of goodness becomes worthless when you assign a brownie point to yourself for it, no matter how subtly you allow yourself to do so. As benevolent as your gesture might be, someone else could have made it too. Regardless of how rich, successful, and famous you become, don't ever underestimate the grace that other people bestow upon you just by being the recipient of your kindnesses. You might be able to buy your friend a rose for his or her birthday, but it's no substitute for a patient hearing of your sulky rants on a bad hair day.